So you know what we haven't done in a while?
What?
We haven't played any games on the podcast.
Oh, joy.
I love games.
That's what our podcast is missing.
It really is. It's really missing it. So guys, if you miss games, let me know because I do. But anyway, so in our audience ask section, which of course will be towards the end of the podcast, somebody asked us which split personality you would be particularly.
Somebody.
Yes, and we're actually going to use that question and discuss it because I have lots of thoughts. But there is a quiz online where you can find out which personality you'd be. So I'm kind of curious if my thoughts about you match up to the quiz.
Okay.
So are you ready to take a quiz?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, I suppose.
So if you guys at home want to take the quiz yourself, it's on popbuzz.com. But anyways, it's called Which Split Personality Are You? First thing, would you eat this banana split?
No.
Because of the strawberry ice cream?
No, I don't like banana splits.
Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, the next thing is pick a song. You won't know any of these songs. I know a few of them, but I'm Not Okay, American Idiot, American Beauty / American Psycho, Something I Call Personality, Psycho Killer, or Pieces of Me.
Pieces of Me, why not?
Sure, why not? How would your friends describe you? Weird, childish, sassy, basic, boring, or evil?
Probably weird. I have no idea.
I'd go with boring, but okay, we're gonna
Wow.
go with what you say. Pick something to split. Candy bar, Atom, dinner, taxi fare, leggings, or jeans.
Dinner.
Okay. Pick an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Signs, Unbreakable, The Village, The Sixth Sense, The Last Airbender, or The Happening.
Sixth Sense.
Pick a James McAvoy movie. Frankenstein, Atonement, X-Men First Class, Chronicles of Narnia, Wanted, or Arthur Christmas.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay. Pick a strawberry split ice lolly. I'm not going to name all of these, but there's a bunch of strawberry ice lollies, and you don't like strawberries, so this should be fun.
So, I have really no idea.
Just pick one. Come on.
That one.
Okay. Do you have any superpowers? Not a chance. No, but neither did Batman, and that didn't stop him. Only when I'm dreaming. What's a superpower? Like magic? I like magic. Oh, you have an idea. Oh, you have no idea.
Oh, you have no idea. I'd go with no, but neither did Batman.
All right.
Unless you count being super rich.
So, does it give you an answer?
Hedwig.
Oh, you are a Hedwig. You are basically just a giant kid, which is fine, but do us a favor and ditch the creepy voice, okay? Etc.
All right.
So I think that's cute. Now, we'll have more to say on how I feel about his personality, but I think that's a fun way to start it. Anyways,
right.
So this week's movie is Split.
Split. I'm Tyler.
I'm Shay, and this is cinematically correct. Now, you chose this movie, correct?
I did. I had never seen it, and I'm wanting to see this because I wanted to see Glass.
I'm dying to see Glass.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to watch it once this is done because we did not want to taint our view of this movie. But, so I had seen Split previously, in theaters actually, with a friend of mine. And I had not seen Unbreakable prior to seeing Split.
So you watched it out of order.
Well, so I didn't know, and nobody knew at the time that there was a tie-in. That was it was so secret. M. Night Shyamalan actually removed it from all like the testing and stuff, so
Yes.
that nobody knew. So I had no idea. Neither did the person I went with. But when the person I went with saw Bruce Willis, which is Joe, I don't know why I'm saying the person I went with. You
Yes.
guys know Joe. He was on one of our episodes.
He was a host on one of our episodes on Brooklyn.
Right. Anyway, so I was with Joe, and the minute he saw Bruce Willis, he was like, "Oh my God, this is a tie-in to Unbreakable," and I'm like, "You mean like Unbreakable with Kimmy Schmidt? Like I don't understand here." Yeah, but I've seen it now. Obviously, I bought it that day on Amazon and watched it, so we can talk about both of those movies. But we have not seen Glass, so any of the opinions that we have, if it's answered in Glass, we won't know that.
So I would say that this movie should have been a much shorter movie, just like the last one we did where they got struck by lightning and they died.
And why do you say that?
Well, as the other girls are getting chloroformed or drugged, she could totally have gotten out of the front seat.
Okay, so I have opinions on that, but why don't you start with the brief synopsis?
Brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis.
It's 3 girls that are abducted by a person that has 24 separate personalities. Mm-hmm. And they're kept in what we find out is the Philadelphia Zoo. And it is all them dealing with being captive and trying to escape, and setting up that this movie is tied to Unbreakable.
Right, and it's also from James McAvoy character's standpoint, or Kevin, it's the immersion of the 24th personality.
Right.
So, you want to go through the characters a little bit?
Sure. James McAvoy to start with?
Sure. So, this is our first James McAvoy movie, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't think we've done another one, but I could be wrong. So, I mean, I love James McAvoy. This is the movie that made me love him, but he's in Atonement, Fifth, The Last Night, Dark Phoenix, Glass, obviously, Deadpool 2, Sherlock Gnome. I like that movie. But yeah, anyway, so I adore him. I obviously have seen an X-Men as well.
Yeah. Wasted opportunity. And I have to get this out there. We're doing a new segment, Wasted Opportunity. One of his personalities should have had his actual accent.
The Scottish accent?
Scottish accent. Come on.
Now, did you see the little Easter egg about one of his personalities? That the date of which that Kevin remembers being last himself was like the date of some Scottish political thing?
No.
That, apparently James McAvoy was well known for not speaking up about whatever Scottish political thing it was. But it was pretty cool. So there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. Anyway, so James McAvoy. Anya Taylor-Joy, this is our second movie for her, which is funny because I think those are the only two movies I've ever seen her in. But the other movie that we did of hers was Thoroughbreds. So if you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. She's also been in The Witch, Morgan, The Dark Crystal.
It's the new one.
The new one. I'm like, what?
No,
we did Dark Crystal.
No,
the new one. Peaky Blinders, which I want to see. It's a series. It's not a movie.
Yes, it's a TV show.
Okay, so a bunch of movies that I have not seen. But we did do another movie of hers. It was Thoroughbreds. I don't know how we've done two of hers, but not two James McAvoy. But, you know, we have weird taste in movies. I loved her in this movie. I thought she was wonderful. And so her character is a young teenage girl who
doesn't really fit in with her friends that are like trying to rope her in.
Right. And so they do backstory on her and show that she's a victim of sexual assault.
As a child. And that colors how she is kind of dealing with the situation that she's dealing with. Yes.
She does amazing at this role. And I am really excited to see her character develop in Glass, because there has to be, whether or not we're right in our theories of what happens with her, she has to be a big part of Glass. I have to assume.
Yes, I can't imagine her not being a big part of that movie.
Right. So, again, don't come at us, guys. We have not seen it. Betty Buckley plays Karen Fletcher. I have never seen her before. Have you?
I don't know. It all depends.
So she's been in The Happening. Oh, I've seen The Happening. Carrie, Frantic, Preacher, Supergirl, which I believe is a TV show. Chicago Med is also a TV show. So no, I mean, I've seen The Happening, so I've obviously seen her before. But anyways, Dr. Fletcher is the psychiatrist or psychologist. I always get the two confused.
Probably
psychologist, right? Because psychologist is able to prescribe medication, from my understanding.
Probably.
So I would have to assume that she's that. And she is also like an advocate for dissociative identity disorder.
Right. So she's of the opinion that the personalities shape the person because you have different abilities and different strengths when you're that personality. Like one of James McAvoy's characters is a diabetic somehow and has to take insulin. The other ones have different varying intelligence levels, capabilities, so forth, that etc.
We're going to say etc. a lot in this because that is probably my favorite part of Hedwig. Okay, so other than that, there's really nobody else I wanted to bring up, but I did want to mention that Sterling K. Brown was slated to be in this movie, and he actually did some scenes, but they were cut out of the original movie. And for anybody who doesn't know, Sterling K. Brown is pretty well known right now because he's in This Is Us, which is probably one of the most popular TV shows, whatever. Right. So I thought it was cool that he was in it. I obviously wish that I had seen some of the scenes. I did see a deleted scene with him in it. He's interacting with Dr. Fletcher, but yeah, those scenes have been dropped. I think he was either Dr. Fletcher's neighbor or Kevin's neighbor. I don't remember. I
was very struck right out of the gate in this movie with very jarring credits that just made me uncomfortable.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, I think it was just to try to convey the split personality. Mm-hmm. And it was just very abrupt and very jarring for all of the credits, and it kind of put me on edge from the start of this movie.
Well, good. Then he did his job, I guess.
Yes.
So anyway, the movie starts off with the girls at a party.
At a mall, I think.
At a mall, which is the birthday party of one of the girls. I believe it was Claire.
Yes.
And
he can't leave without the uncle or whoever, the guardian, picking her up.
Casey cannot leave.
Yes.
Yes, and so they kind of show the interaction between the girls and Casey, and you can clearly see that Casey is very much an outsider.
Yep.
She was only invited because Claire felt she couldn't invite most of the people in the class and then just not invite her, which I honestly thought was commendable of her. Because some girls would just not invite her. But in the parking lot, they end up getting abducted by
James McAvoy.
I was trying to decide which one to say because it's obviously Dennis.
It's Dennis. Well, there's 24 different choices. There's Dennis, Barry, Patricia, Hedwig.
Well, right, but this one is definitely Dennis because he had his yellow wiped down rag.
The OCD.
Yeah, so it was definitely Dennis. But when it happened, you said, "How are they going to get abducted?" Because the father's
that's a bold
here.
play. They abducted broad daylight. Father is there. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote down she should have booked it.
So I wrote, and I wanted to see if you know the answer to this. What happens to the dad? Where did he go? I mean, I did notice that it looked like they may have shoved him in the trunk, but what?
Well, so later on, you hear the newsreader saying that he was unconscious. So he's out there in the world.
He probably chloroformed him and dropped him on the ground.
And left him out of the way and then drove off with the girls.
Okay. Because for me, that was a loose end because I was like, wait.
Well, no, they do mention that or address that where he says, found unconscious, blah, 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 3 girls missing.
That makes me feel better that it was tied up because I was confused about that.
And then the girls wake up in that room.
Yes,
it's a basement room, which is... It was almost like an attic basement room. It was weird. Whereas like wood paneling and you didn't know whether it was the top of a building, bottom of a building.
Yeah, it was very jarring. It was very, yeah.
And then they totally should have rushed Dennis 3-on-1.
So I got the impression that Casey, which was kind of the one that everyone was kind of taking direction from, which is strange because she's the outsider.
Yeah.
But anyway... I got the impression that because of her past assault, she had learned to not fight back because it only makes it worse. Because I don't know if obviously you're not a victim of abuse, so you wouldn't really know, but a lot of people who are victims of abuse believe that it's better to just let it happen because it happens faster and it's less painful. So I got the impression that she was operating under that.
It's fair, but at the same time, 3 people on 1 person, that's very good odds.
Well, not after what you learn about him later on.
I mean, yes, you can still scratch out his eyes and make him blind.
I mean, fair, but regardless, I got the impression that she was definitely a victim of abuse, and that was not how she operated.
And then James McAvoy comes back in and goes, he was not supposed to do that, he listens to me. And then that's the realization that they have that, oh God, we're dealing with an insane person.
Right, now that was Patricia that came in and said that.
Patricia came in, and he's very calm and demure and very polite and formal, and then you're just the whole, oh no, this is bad.
No, be careful too, because I mean, I want to mention, I noticed when I was reading about this movie that there is a very big controversy about the way that mental illness is portrayed in this movie. And a lot of people were very upset that it seems that multiple personality disorder or DID or whatever you want to call it was being portrayed as villainous, as evil.
Right.
And people obviously were upset about that. And I kind of just want to clarify that the way I feel about this is more of not talking about mental illness, but more talking about superpowers. And it's more of a superhero type movie, especially with a tie into Glass. But that he wasn't necessarily talking about the evil of a mental illness, but the more of how a person who is evil can harness the mental strengths that they received, because the psychiatrist kept talking about how he was able to harness all the parts of his brain And I think there was more of a speak on that.
It's more people are going to be the people that they are, regardless of circumstance. So if you are an evil person, you're going to become if you have superhuman abilities, you're going to be a super villain. It has nothing to do with that side of it. I mean, that's just part of his identity.
Right. But I mean, the Kevin Wendell Crumb seemingly was not an evil person.
No, he's just
he was a victim of abuse.
A little boy that was abused by his mother horribly. And I'm a bad person because periodically through this movie, I wrote down things where I said they should have stabbed the 9-year-old with the mirror shard.
See, so Hedwig, so who was your favorite personality of all the personalities that we got to see? I think there was 9 that we actually got to see James McAvoy act out.
I would say it's probably tied between Hedwig and Barry.
Okay.
Like actual Barry, not Dennis pretending to be Barry.
Right.
Because Barry's just so positive and
likable.
Yeah. And then Hedwig is a 9-year-old. So you can't hate a 9-year-old.
He's adorable.
Yeah.
And his dance moves.
I mean, creepy because it's an adult person, not a 9-year-old. But
he had the best dance moves.
Yes.
I'm just saying. Like, I mean, I want to dance.
And I felt guilty for saying you should stab the 9-year-old with mirror shards. I also felt bad saying you should have blinded him with the chemicals that he gave for cleaning the bathroom. No, but just that you have to try those kind of things to escape because it turns out that the keys were in the other room. They could have gotten out.
See, I found myself feeling bad for James McAvoy's character a lot of the time because I felt that it was very clear that he wasn't in control.
No.
And it felt like, although he was doing awful things, that he wasn't an awful person. That there was...
Well, there was all of the emails that the other personalities were trying to warn people and do the right thing. They were trying to reach out to their psychologist or their psychiatrist.
Right. There was 20 emails.
Right.
And 23 personalities. The 24th hadn't emerged yet.
Yeah.
So the 3, Hedwig, Patricia, and Dennis, were not emailing.
But every other person was trying to get a hold of the doctor.
Right.
So yeah, that just... I do feel bad for James McAvoy's character in a lot of this because he's very much a victim to the whims of whichever personality is happening to take control at that time. But at the same time, 3 of them are very, very bad characters.
Right. No, I agree.
People. I tried to write down all of them, and I couldn't, because I got Samuel, Orwell, Heinrich, Kevin, Barry, Patricia, Hedwig, Dennis,
Jade.
There's not a whole lot more that are actually named.
Right. There is Easter egg one, which is Mr. Partridge or something. Yeah. Because he's supposed to be a reference to another M. Night Shyamalan movie. But I don't remember. It was on the bottom right of the screen. But anyway, so a lot of this movie is going back and forth between seeing the different personalities and that evolving, and then also seeing them, or Dennis as Barry, interact with the psychiatrist, trying to pretend like everything is okay. And
right, and there's a lot of piecing things together because you don't get a whole lot of the movie at the start, so you have to try to fit things in. So where she's talking about how he has powers when she's talking to the psychiatrist, you don't necessarily know how that ties into the rest of the movie.
Who's she? Well, who's she talking to?
Well, not she. He, Barry, or Dennis.
When Dennis is talking to Dr. Fletcher,
she's talking about how he has powers, or there are people that have powers that have dissociative identity disorder. And then there's other parts into it where there's you have a very strict purpose. You don't know what that purpose is, really. Nothing good, obviously, but and there's just very limited information at the start of this, all the way up till the middle to end of this movie.
Well, right, and I mean, James McAvoy in an interview at one point said that this movie is very much, you're constantly wondering, what type of movie are you watching? Are you watching a thriller? Are you watching a horror? Are you watching, like, what are you watching? And I feel like that's very true with this movie, and I definitely think watching it a second time, I picked up a lot more. Like, for example, when Dennis Asbury goes in to see Dr. Fletcher for the first time, I didn't really pick up on much. Like, I mean, I knew that something was weird. Like, obviously, you were supposed to know something was weird. You just knew you were supposed to know. but I didn't really pick up on much. But on a second watch, I noticed a lot of he had the towel to open the door. He fixed the bowl to the candy a bunch of times. So, like, but I didn't notice that at first because I didn't know who Dennis was. So I didn't know he had OCD. So I didn't know any of those things to look for. So it was interesting to watch it a second time and be like, okay, so all those clues were already there.
And then I had written down what's with all the hunting montages before we found out what was with all the hunting montages, and I felt really horrible.
Yeah, you should feel bad about that.
That
yep.
was not a great one. I also wrote down, he listens to Kanye, clearly a monster.
Yep.
I don't know.
I will not add
Sanction
to that because, nope. Mm-mm.
No, I'd written down that it was kind of jarring and out of place to have all those hunting montages, and then after I saw what happened, I was like, nope, no, did not need to see that.
Now, see, so that kind of stuff makes me wonder, like, so they're setting up the origin of Casey, right? So they are obviously trying to show what makes her into whatever she is in Glass, right?
Well, this is a two-person origin story in that in the first movie, Unbreakable, it's David Dunn and
Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass. And there's the opposite reflective image of the same person, but alternate versions.
Right.
Like there's exact opposites, a mirror image. And so this was the same kind of setup in this movie as well, where there's a lot of split personality, horrible trauma, but then also horrible trauma kind of almost, I would imagine, solidifies her into the person that she is. Right. Rather than splitting apart, she has come together and is very confident in her personal identity.
That could be, or it could be that him as a split personality is becoming all conglomerate into one as the Beast, right, where she is now breaking apart.
I mean, that's possible. I would say that he is split against 20 different ways. It could be. And she is the opposite version of that.
Yeah, so we have different ideas on Casey, which, I mean, I'm excited to see which way it is. I would like either way, honestly, but I think it would be interesting to see where that goes. So, I mean, for the rest of the movie, really what you're seeing is the different personalities, and you're seeing the struggle to allow the Beast to come to be.
Well, then they describe the Beast, and then I have a problem with what happens at the end of this movie.
Okay, well, we haven't gotten to the end, but okay.
Well, so they said skin like a rhino.
Uh-huh.
Since when are rhinos bulletproof?
I mean, it's like a rhino. It is rhino's skin. It's like a rhino. I think it's probably just the best descriptor they could give.
Because if rhinos were bulletproof, they would not get shot by poachers ever. That'd be great.
Okay, but I don't think that's exactly what it meant.
So where do you want to go from there? I don't know what else happened in the rest of the movie other than
you don't remember what happened in the movie?
Other than the end of the movie, but you said we're not at the end of the movie.
Well, I mean, so you don't mention that Dr. Fletcher was killed. So there's a whole part in the movie where Dr. Fletcher goes to visit Kevin and his personalities because she's been getting a lot of emails and she just wants to make sure that he's okay.
Right.
And they bring him in and they bring her in, and Dennis kind of tries to calm her down and realizes that he's not going to be able to, so he sprays her to knock her out. And there is a deleted scene, which I think is really interesting in this, that he, at the point that he sprays her, he goes in and speaks to Casey and basically says, you know, maybe we are crazy. Maybe we should all die for this. Like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And
this is Dennis.
And M. Night Shyamalan, in introducing that deleted scene, had said that this was a point for Dennis of kind of self-reflection because he wasn't the one that really wanted the Beast to come out originally. It was Patricia who had recruited him. And this was kind of like the moment of like him realizing that maybe he's making a mistake.
There's
and like
there's no going back at this point. This is irreversible after you take this set of actions.
Right. And that was interesting to me because I, while watching the movie, really felt Dennis was the instigator. And I know you felt it was Patricia.
I very much thought it was Patricia pulling all the strings. And she was by far, to me, the creepiest character, where the overreaction to the sandwich being crooked, everything about her bothered me.
Yeah, see, I mean, she bothered me, but I really thought Dennis was the instigator, so seeing that deleted scene was really interesting to me. But anyway, Dr. Fletcher ends up getting killed because she...
By the Beast.
By the Beast, yeah. But she did get to write down a warning to whoever was there, because she saw the girls trapped. and she wrote a warning saying that you need to say his name, Kevin Wendell Crumb. And I think that was really important because it shows that he does have a weakness. Like in Unbreakable, they say that all the characters have a weakness, and maybe your weakness is water. In this one, his weakness is obviously saying his name. And they show that is because the mother, when she was angry, would say Kevin Wendell Crumb when he was getting in trouble. That just shatters the illusion, and it just makes everything up for grabs at that point, and no one person has control, and it's a mishmash. It brings him back to Kevin. Right. So, I find that really interesting. And I'm sure that they're going to carry that over into Glass somehow, some way. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But anyways, I mean, really that's everything that happens, I believe, in the movie. Well, other than her getting cornered in a cage and then shooting him but not hurting him, and then him wanting to murder her functionally and eat her. But realizing that she is damaged and not pure, and he lets her go. And that's really where the end of the movie goes. And then she's in the car, the police car, waiting for her abusive uncle to come pick her up. Right. So before we talk about that end scene, because I do want to talk about it. Well, it is an audience ask question too, so we'll bring that up. But we didn't really talk about the uncle part. Yeah. So. In this movie, should have shot him. So I actually was reading my note that said, "Is it bad that I was rooting for her to shoot him?" So I wrote down, "Should have shot Uncle." Yeah. So there's a really dark undercurrent of the movie where she there's a flashback back to her hunting with her dad, which she obviously had a very good, close relationship with her dad, and the uncle was taking her and, air quotes, playing animal with her, and obviously raping her or doing something sexual in nature with her. And animals don't have clothes. Creepiest line in this movie. Right, which is why she wears layers. So in one of the flashbacks of the movie, they show that she has a gun as a kid on her uncle, and she's trying to decide whether or not to kill him, and he's pleading for his life. And that really seemed to mirror when she had a gun to Kevin Wendell Crumb, and like kind of she did end up shooting in this scenario where and it didn't work. Where with the uncle, she chose not to shoot, and in a deleted scene actually told her father what was happening, and that didn't work. So she ends up stuck with the uncle. So it's kind of interesting to see the dichotomy between the two. But there is an audience ask about that scene in the car, so I think we should probably wait to talk about that until there. But is there anything? I mean, there is the real story that I did want to bring up, but so. I just like the fact that there were a lot of references in this movie and a lot of theories surrounding this movie. So one of them is that in the end of Unbreakable, David Dunn actually walks by and touches the young Kevin Wendell Crumb and sees all of the abuse because he has the ability to sense that information from a person by touching them. Right, at the stadium. And then also, there's theories that his father died on the train that created him in the first place. Yeah. Yep. I like those theories. So it's a nice tie-in. And then I would have to say that they had to have shot things at Eastern State Penn. I know you said that, and I tried to find it, and I even found a map of all of those filming locations, and the closest to Eastern State Penn that I could find was the Philadelphia Art Museum, which is like right down the street. But there's just some of that felt very Eastern State Penn. It did. It's very much dead. Yeah. So like last year, the year before, I don't remember, we went to Philadelphia to visit friends, and we saw Eastern State Penn. We didn't actually get to go to the zoo. We should have gone to the zoo. But we did go to a lot of places in Philly, and it did look a lot like what we remember from Eastern State Penn. I should probably post a photo of like the Modern Museum, yeah. I should post a photo of like the corridors because that's really what to me looked a lot like Eastern State Penn. Yes. But anyway, so I did want to bring up before we move into Audience Asks or History Minute or any of that, I did want to bring up that this is a movie based on a real person. It's inspired by, so not like, the story. It's not a retelling. It's not a direct parallel to the person's life. Right, but it was inspired by somebody. So the inspiration was a man named Billy Mulligan, or Milligan. It's Milligan. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. He was charged with 3 rapes, and he was the first person to use insanity defense by reason of multiple personality disorder, or DID, and was also the first person to be acquitted because of that. He had 24 personalities consisting of 10 desirables and 13 undesirables. One of the 24th personality was what he called the teacher, and it was a conglomerate of all of his personalities. So it is said that the teacher is what the beast is inspired by. I don't know that part. I don't know if that is true because I haven't heard that from M. Night Shyamalan or anything like that. But I found that really interesting. There are other movies and stuff like that about this Billy Mulligan person. There's supposedly a movie coming out with Leonardo DiCaprio playing him.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. But I found that really interesting that it was, there was a real person who inspired it. I didn't know there was anybody out there that actually had 24 personalities.
Did you know that there were more movies split with the title?
I did not know that.
So I found 2 movies from 2016 with Split as the title.
Weird.
That are not this movie.
In that year? That's weird.
2016. Well, this I think came out in 2017.
But still weird. But anyway, go on.
Very odd. One of them is this weird kind of abusive dance performance relationship thing.
Okay.
And I don't know. Was not able to find much on the other one either. So I don't have a whole lot of information on it, but it was kind of an odd fact that I found. That's all I got.
Okay, so why don't you go on to your history minute?
Tyler's History Minute.
History minute. So I have a couple. So Eastern State Pen, which we've already talked about, is actually one of the first prisons opened in this country. It opened in 1829.
Okay.
And it housed quite a few people, most notably Al Capone.
Why are we talking about Eastern State Pen when Eastern State Pen is not in this movie?
Because it's Philadelphia. That goes into my next thing. Asylums, or insane asylums, were where they used to house people, which were not very nice. That looked very much like how a lot of the scenes in this movie looked, where it's how dingy and dirty and horrible. Mm-hmm. It's places where you wouldn't want to go. And then the last thing I have, which is kind of tangentially related, is trepanation, which is an old ancient practice to cure voices or headaches and all of that kind of mental trauma, which is basically drilling a hole in the skull to let all of the voices and demons out of your head.
Oh, okay.
Which happened, it was first recorded around 7,000 years ago.
Lovely. That's great. I'm glad. So your history minute was weak and disgusting. That's good. Thank you for that. I'm really appreciative of that.
Somewhat related.
Yeah. I'm hoping that next week you do better. Blame Tyler, as usual. So before we move into Audience Ask, I want to just plug our favorite podcast app that we like to seem to plug all of the times.
Well, we're addicted to it, first off.
We're addicted to it. So I do hope everybody loves our podcast, Cinematically Correct. If you don't tell us. That'll just hurt my feelings. But anyways, did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts, and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards at places like Amazon or Starbucks, or if you're a good person, not like Tyler, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn. So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code for you. Simply use our code, Cinematically, and you'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up. And if you listen to enough of us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead and go listen to this podcast, or virtually any podcast on Podcoin, and sign up with the code Cinematically. I swear it'll change the way you listen to podcasts.
I like how you threw in a subtle dig for me.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I really read exactly what the script was that I was supposed to read to let everybody know about Podcoin. I don't know what you're talking about. We can move into our Audience Ask if you're ready.
Sure.
Audience Asks.
what we had done the quiz at the beginning of this episode. So Stork had asked us, which one of McAvoy's personalities would you give blame Tyler? Lord knows he could use one. Which, I love you guys for things like that. It just makes my day when I see things like that. Don't you love it? No?
No.
Okay, so I don't remember the man's name of the personality that I would give to you. You have it written down, though. I heard you mention at the beginning of the episode, so... Orwell, yes. He's 100% you. Like, pretentious, very, like, scholarly, like, just all of that. Now, what I would like you to be more like is Hedwig, because that'd be more fun and exciting and all of that, but, yeah, you're... Et cetera. Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, you're definitely an Orwell. So, did you want to give me a personality?
Yeah, you're Miss Patricia.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
Yeah.
I am not that awful. So you're basically saying I'm the supervillain.
Well, I mean...
I'm not the beast, but I'm the instigator to get to the beast, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. You're definitely an instigator.
I'm manipulative?
Yeah.
Rude. Okay, so y'all heard that. He just called me Miss Patricia. The only time I will say that I am Patricia...
You just called me boring.
But anyways, you are boring. The only time I will take credit for being Patricia is in the meme that I have shown you, and I will post it for you guys to see. But it's a reseller meme, and it basically is something to the effect of when I bring home a bunch of bags from Goodwill after I said I would take it easy to my fiance. And the picture is a picture of James McAvoy, and it says, "That wasn't me. That's Patricia."
Yeah. No, that's not a thing.
It is a thing. Anyways, okay, so this is the one I was excited about talking about. So the Contrarians ask, I think you guys mentioned you haven't seen Glass yet, which would make sense. So what's your read on that final shot of Casey? Is she going back to her uncle, or is she going to tell on him?
I think she's not going back to that. She's realized after this that she's experienced enough trauma.
Okay, so this is where we diverge again, because apparently we view Casey very differently, but I believe that she's making a decision to take matters into her own hands and deal with her uncle, so she is going to go back to him and deal with that situation.
I just think that she's going to let the police take him into custody.
Now, granted, I'm always wrong when it comes to stuff like this, so I am 100% willing to watch Glass and see Tyler be right, but I just really believe after watching her go through this movie that she's going to want to go and take matters into her own hands. So we shall see what happens there. I'm so excited to see Glass. I feel like we need to do a little update at the beginning of the next episode to just be like,
we watched it, we liked it.
We watched it, we liked it. Tyler was right, Shay was wrong, whatever kind of thing. So we might end up doing that just so you guys know. Because I don't know if we should do Glass as a whole movie just because we kind of talked this one to death.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But anyways, so do you want to do your rating?
Reviews.
Ratings. Rotten Tomato has it at 77 with a 79 audience score.
Wow, that's pretty low considering.
I mean, I was going to give it a 7.75.
Really? Okay, so why the score?
Or even, I'll give it an 8. There was no crazy groundbreaking stuff. I did like the twist ending.
You don't think James McAvoy's acting ability
fantastic.
was groundbreaking?
James McAvoy killed it in this movie. He's the reason that this movie works at all. Because if you don't have him in this movie, then it would have fallen apart.
Which it was supposed to be Joaquin Phoenix, but he couldn't come up to an agreement.
I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is also a good choice, given...
I have not seen a Joaquin Phoenix movie, I do not think.
We're going to have to fix that, because there's a lot of good ones.
I don't know. I don't remember, but anyway.
So I'll give it an 8. So it was a great movie. James McAvoy killed it with the acting. I wish that I could have seen more practical trying to escape and all kinds of other things that you don't even know it's tied to Unbreakable till the very ending, which I get is the point, but
that bothered you?
A little bit, yeah. Got under my skin.
So I would have given it a 9. I love thriller movies. I love the type of movies that make you think the whole time, and I love the fact that they showed it in a way that I felt was more realistic. I know you say that they should have tried to break out more, they should have done all these things, but I feel like as somebody who is trapped, I do think there is a lot of fear and a lot of, hesitation with that kind of stuff. So I do think it's more realistic that they acted the way they acted.
I think that is a difference of perspective because we are so vastly different in that regard. In terms of my first thought is, I can knock him over. He's
yes,
smaller.
but they're young girls.
I know.
I mean,
I get that. I do understand that conceptually, but that's my first instinct is, okay, doorway, go, and I don't know, that it bothered me a little bit.
Well, I'm interested to see Glass with you to see where this takes us. But anyway, that is that for this movie, I think. Yes. So next week's movie, we are doing an audience recommend. Chad Fackler, I believe is how you say his name, recommended we do Saturday the 14th.
Right.
And he recommended this a long time ago. And in fairness, I have been waiting.
This was from Clue, wasn't it? Or was it
No, it was even longer ago. It was a very long time ago. But anyways, in fairness, I have been waiting for a Saturday the 14th to actually happen. So when this podcast is released, the next Saturday will be Saturday the 14th. So I waited and waited for this moment, and it happened, and I pulled the trigger. So you got to remember, too, I have to wait for a Saturday the 14th that falls on my week. So there was a lot of things that had to align to get this movie happening. But we are there. It will happen next week. I'm actually excited for it. I know that you're not.
I'm not at all excited.
Which makes me even more excited for it. So.
Well, we'll get the campy movie that is Punishment.
Yes, we will finally have the campy movie that is Punishment. That is true. So, anyways, if you guys have any questions for that movie, please submit it to us. You can find us on Twitter at CinematicallyC. You can find Tyler on Twitter at BlameTylerCC. You can email us at cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at Cinematically Correct's Listener Group, or on Instagram at CinematicallyC. So I wanted to say thank you to Jake Get Out This Music for our intro and outro music, and we'll be back next week with Saturday the 14th.